What's up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my full card breakdown and predictions for UFC 270. We have Francis Ngannou going against Ciryl. Gane. Cannot wait for this main event and cannot wait for this card as a whole. The very first pay-per-view of 2022. We also have a phenomenal co-main event in Deiveson Figueiredo going against Moreno 3. So that should be fun as well. But yeah, looking forward to it quite a bit. A couple announcements before we get started. It is a pay-per-view card, so bringing back the significant strike contest I did all last year. To enter the contest, first, leave a like on the video. Second, subscribe to the channel if you are not already. And then third, comment down how many significant strikes that you think that Francis Ngannou and Ciryl Gane are going to combine for. Whoever does get the closest, $25 the first. If there is a tiebreaker, whoever did comment that number first gets the tiebreaker there. So we'll see if anybody can get close, see if anybody can get it right on the dot there. The next announcement is going to be, if I announced this last week, and first of all, I want to say thank you to everybody that has signed up. Was very, shocked to see this many people signed up this fast. But yeah, thank you guys so much. And then also thank you for everybody that did buy merch. I did send the merch out today on Tuesday as well, so that should be coming soon. But if you still have not signed up and you do want to sign up, go to the Join Now. It's the same thing as Patreon, and if you are a current Patreon member and you do want to sign up on the website, let me know. If you do, I will refund you on Patreon for the month. But the most popular option has been the MMA DFS and betting, which is $20, and then the betting is $10 there. With the betting, you get access to my model. First notice on all bets. I do have 3 bets right now and looking to place potentially 2 big bets coming very soon, just waiting on lines. My betting article, my betting breakdown videos, my Hail Mary parlay, access to Discord, and this is a big thing that I've added this year. It's the full card breakdown and best bet article. Got a lot of great feedback from that. I break down the full card and I give my best bet on the fight, so that's pretty cool as well. If you do want to sign up, check it out. The link is in the description, or just go to dfsbythenumbers.com. This is important as well. So if you do not want to sign up, which is fine, if you do want to still see my bets, put your name right here and put your email and then get on the newsletter, and I'll be sending out my bets every Saturday morning. A lot of people wanted to sign up last minute. I sent them out a little bit early on Saturday, so if you do sign up late, let me know, and I'll show you the bets on like DM or whatever, but I'm going to send them out like Saturday, probably 9, 10 in the morning. So if you do want my bets, name, email, and then they'll go right to you on Saturday. Shouldn't be a problem there. But I think that is about it. Other than that, you follow me on Twitter, DFS_numbers. Instagram is DFS by the numbers. I'll be posting my recaps on there in terms of how I did, in terms of the betting. And I'm also going to be posting my picks, my final picks on both Twitter and Instagram. So make sure you guys follow me over there. Other than that, that's about it. Going live Friday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, and then live once again 1 hour prior to the prelims on Saturday for Best Bet with me, Uncle Weezy, Eric Betts fight. So yeah, that's about it. Before we get started, if you guys can please leave a like on the video, subscribe. That is much, much appreciated as always. And I say we get started with the very first fight of the night. And I say we kick off this UFC 270 with an absolute banger. Like, this is probably one of my favorite fights on the entire card. And most people probably don't know who the heck either of these guys are. Maybe people will know some Jack Della Maddalena because he was on the Contender Series, but Pete Rodriguez, this is a guy that's 25 years old. He's 5'9", 73-inch reach. He's 4-0. 4-0 is Pete Rodriguez. But he does have an amateur career. I think he went like 7-3, 7-4 in terms of being an amateur, and all 7 of those wins are within the first 2 rounds. Like, this guy, Pete Rodriguez, is an all-out finisher. And you can say the same thing about Jack Della Maddalena, who's 25 years old, 5'11", with a 73-inch reach, 10-2, and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. So watching tape on Jack Della Maddalena, I was very, very impressed with this guy. This guy's combinations are phenomenal. He hits very hard. He mixes it up to the body very well. And not only that, he's a brown belt in BJJ. He had a very impressive scramble on the Contender Series as well. So his ground game looks good. The wrestling looks okay. And I do think that he can potentially use his wrestling in this fight here against Pete Rodriguez, who, man, this guy hits like an absolute truck. I will say, on the whole card, Pete Rodriguez probably has the most sketchy competition that I've ever seen. But, he's going out there, he's taking care of these guys, he's knocking them out early, but the level of competition is definitely something to know. But both of these guys hit very hard, and both of these guys win inside the distance. We'll take a look at the line. We see that Jack Della Maddalena, he opened up -300, he's now -325. Pete Rodriguez opened up plus 250s, now plus 275, and it makes sense to me. Jack Della Maddalena was supposed to fight Warlley Alves. He's had a full camp. Pete Rodriguez is coming in on short notice. Pete Rodriguez has literally fought nobody. The ground game for Pete Rodriguez, does look sketchy at times. I had to go back to his amateur career, and I've seen guys take him down very easy. I've seen guys control him. But he could be making improvements. Those fights were a couple of years ago, but still, 4 fights, pretty sketchy opponents, but this guy does hit very, very hard. So I think Rodriguez, he's definitely live to win. I mean, he has a puncher's chance for sure, but I just think Jack Della Maddalena is the much, much better fighter, more well-rounded, full camp. I just think Jack Della Maddalena has a lot of things going for him in this fight, and I think he's going to go out here and finish Pete Rodriguez probably within the first round and a half. So give me Jack Della Maddalena. I think it's the first fight on the card. I think it's one of the most exciting fights, and I'm really, really looking forward to this fight. I like both these guys quite a bit. So give me Jack Della Maddalena to win, and give me Jack Della Maddalena to win by, I'll say, first round knockout. I think someone's getting knocked out very early here. All right, I'm not sure why they have Topuria versus Jourdain, because this is probably like one of my top 3 fights on the entire card. So for it to be the second fight on the card, it's pretty weird. I wouldn't be mad if they put it on like the pay-per-view part of the card as well, because this fight's going to be very, very fun and exciting. 2 guys that I'm very high on, Topuria and Jourdain. We'll start with Topuria. Topuria, he's 24 years old, 5'7" with a 69-inch reach, 11-0, and obviously 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Charles Jourdain, he is 26 years old, 5'9", with a 69-inch reach, 12-4 and 1, and 2-2 and 1 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds, and we see that Topuria is the biggest favorite on the card, and by a decent margin as well. Topuria is currently sitting at minus 550, opened up minus 350, and then Charles Jourdain, he opened up plus 285. He is currently plus 385, and I get it. Kinda, Topuria, this guy's a beast. I mean, I put on Twitter the other day, remember when Topuria was a underdog to Yusuf Zalal? I do, because I had a bet on Topuria, and he went out there and he made it look pretty easy. I mean, this guy's wrestling is legit. This guy's grappling is next level, black belt in BJJ, and then this guy's striking is coming along. He probably will be at a striking disadvantage in this fight in terms of the technique, but the power definitely favors Topuria. This guy has a ton of power on the feet, but Charles Jourdain, he's a really good striker. I like what I see from the guy. He's dangerous in his own right. His last win against Andre Ewell was his very first win ever by decision. Topuria only has 1 decision as well, and that was against Yusuf Zalal. The thing with Charles Jourdain, and the thing why he's a big dog here, in my opinion, and there's a couple reasons. For one, there's a ton of hype on Ilia Topuria, and rightfully so. 2, Charles Jourdain's taking this on short notice, which is not good. Going against a guy in Topuria on short notice is just asking for very bad things. And then the big thing for me is the horrendous takedown defense of Charles Jourdain, sitting at 48%. This guy cannot stuff a takedown. And the reason being is because he's very comfortable off his back. Charles Jourdain is a black belt in his own right. I do think in terms of the grappling, it's Topuria all day. But Jourdain is a black belt, and Jourdain has a very good get-up game. But he has a very good get-up game against lesser opponents. I mean, Topuria, if he gets you down, I think he's going to have a lot of success and potentially even submit Charles Jourdain. Charles Jourdain, just got submitted by Julian Erosa a couple fights ago. Topuria is no joke on the mat whatsoever. So I think Topuria is going to have an easy time taking down Charles Jourdain. We take a look at Charles Jourdain's career. He was taken down by Andre Ewell. He was taken down twice by Julian Erosa. He was taken down by Marcelo Rojo. He was taken down 5 times by Andre Fialho. He was taken down 4 times by Desmond Green. And this is going to be the best wrestler and grappler that Charles Jourdain has fought in his entire career by a significant margin probably. So I think Topuria, I get that it's definitely a wide line, but I do get why it is pretty wide. I think Topuria has a legit path to victory, getting this fight down to the mat, takedown after takedown, and then potentially submitting Charles Jourdain. I'm actually going to pick Topuria to submit Charles Jourdain. I'm going to say it's a 2nd or 3rd round submission for Ilia Topuria. All right, we have Vanessa Demopoulos going against Silvana Gomez Juarez. Broke this fight down a couple weeks ago. I think they moved this fight back to 270. But we have Demopoulos, who is 33 years old, 5'2", with a 62-inch reach, 6-4, and 2-3 in her last 5 fights. Silvana Gomez Juarez, she is 37 years old, 5'3", with a 63-inch reach, 10-3, and 3-2 in her last 5 fights. So we see that Demopoulos, lots of money looks to be coming in on her. She opened at minus 135. I remember, I think it was like last week or 2 weeks ago, she was like minus 120 around there, and now she opened at minus 135 this week, and she's now minus 140. So money is still coming in on Demopoulos. And Juarez opened up plus 115, and she's currently plus 120. And, I don't really get it. You take a look at Demopoulos, her grappling is phenomenal. I believe she's a brown belt or a black belt, but, her grappling is her bread and butter, and I get that. And, we see that Juarez, she just got submitted by Lupe Godinez in her last fight. So, on paper, Demopoulos should come in here and take down Juarez and submit her instantly, right? But that's just not the case with Demopoulos. Her wrestling is horrible. I went back and watched her last 8 fights, and unless I missed something, I didn't see her get one takedown in her last 7 fights, which is extremely concerning considering, if you're betting on Demopoulos, you want her to get the fight down to the mat, but she's not getting takedowns. I think in the UFC Contender Series combined, she's 0 for 7 on takedowns, but even outside of the UFC, she's going out there and first of all, she's not going for as many takedowns as you'd like to see. And then second of all, when she's going for takedowns, she's not getting them. She hasn't got a takedown in a long time, which is very concerning because on the feet, it's going to be Juarez for me all day. And Juarez is not the best striker in the world, but I do think she has the striking advantage, and I really don't like the defense of Demopoulos. Demopoulos is very, very hittable. She's tough, but she is very, very hittable. I will say Demopoulos, she will pull guard, she will flop to her back, and that potentially could work here. Maybe she pulls guard, flops to her back, and Juarez follows her down to the mat, armbar from guard situation, but I'm actually going to go with Juarez here to keep the fight upright, stuff the takedowns if they do come. Maybe Demopoulos doesn't even shoot takedowns because some fights she doesn't, and then I think she's going to outstrike Demopoulos, but this is a very sketchy fight, a very low-level fight, but I will take the dog in Gomez Juarez, but I will not be betting on this fight whatsoever. All right, Hayani Barcelos going against Victor Henry, and I swear I've broken this fight down like 3 times now, but we'll break it down like a 4th or 5th. Here we go. Barcelos, he is 34 years old, 5'7", a 67-inch reach, 16-2 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Victor Henry, 34 years old, 5'7", 21-5 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. So this is another fight that again has been moved to this card, 270. And we see that Barcelos, he was, I want to say last time this fight was scheduled, he was like around minus 300, minus 320. But we see this time around that Barcelos is an even bigger favorite. Barcelos opened at minus 350, and he's now minus 450, which is, that's crazy, right? Victor Henry, plus 285, opened up. He's now plus 350. So lots of money is coming in on Barcelos. And I get why. This is a fight where I will say Victor Henry's not some bum at all. Like Victor Henry, he's a very good fighter. Victor Henry is a veteran. He has 26 fights. He's not a bum. He's good. He's well-rounded. The striking's solid. The grappling's good. But it's just the case where you have a good, solid fighter in Victor Henry, but you have a guy in Barcelos who I just think is on another level than Henry here, and that's why he's probably a big favorite here. And then on top of that, you take a look at Henry. His takedown defense is not great. The get-up game's not great. He can be stuck on his back. And I just feel like Barcelos on the feet, he's going to have an advantage. And then also, if he needs to, take this fight down to the mat. Barcelos, I believe, is a black belt in BJJ. I feel like he can just control Henry for periods at a time. So I think the minute-winning ability is going to be heavily favored in Barcelos. Henry, for him to win, it's going to have to be some type of knockout, which, it could happen potentially. I just think it's very unlikely. I guess the only concern I would have would be Barcelos' gas tank, as we have seen him slow down in the past, whereas Henry's probably going to have the cardio advantage here, but I think Barcelos at the very least is going to win those first 2 rounds comfortably. But I'm going to take Barcelos to win. I'm going to take him to win by decision. Henry, he's very tough, never been finished in 26 fights. And Barcelos is not some, great finisher. So I'm going to say Barcelos by decision. Barcelos should get it done here pretty easily here. So give me Barcelos for the win. Excuse me. All right, now we have Kay Hansen going against Jazz Devicious. We have Kay Hansen, who is 22 years old, 5'2", with a 63-inch reach, 7-4 and 3-2 in her last 5 fights. Jasmine Jasudavicius, she is 32 years old, 5'7", with a 68-inch reach, 6-1 and 4-1 in her last 5 fights. So Kay Hansen's going to be 10 years younger. That's really significant. But she's going to be coming up a weight class. She's going to be at a 5-inch height disadvantage and a 5-inch reach disadvantage as well, which is also something to mention. We'll take a look at the odds here. We see that Kay Hansen opened up as a -115, slight favorite. She's now -240. And Jasmine Jasudavicius opened up -105, and she is now +205. So, this is a fight where you take a look at Jasmine Jasudavicius, and I'll be honest, guys, I'm not impressed with her in the slightest. I mean, she's very big, but you go back and watch some of her fights, and first of all, she's very new in MMA. I think she's been, doing MMA for only a couple years. So Hansen, although she's 22, which is nuts, this is nuts. Hansen's 22 years old, but she's been fighting longer than Jasmine Jasudavicius, I believe. And Hansen has more fights. 22-year-old Kay Hansen has more fights than Jasmine Jasudavicius. Hansen with 11 fights and Jasmine Jasudavicius with 7. With that said, Jasmine, I believe she's an Olympic wrestler. So that's that. And she has good wrestling. She really does. But her striking defense is not there. She has about as bad of striking defense as Priscilla Cachoeira, which is not good. And then also the cardio is very bad. I mean, it's like every fight she's slowing down massively in fights. And on top of that, I went back and watched a fight with her against Elise Reed, which was her only loss. And I will say, I thought Jasmine did win the fight, but that's not really the point. The point is, Elise Reed, atomweight, Elise Reed, white belt, was reversing Jasmine Jasudavicius multiple times. I think she reversed her 3 or 4 times in that fight. And if white belt, atomweight, Elise Reed is reversing you, what is 10th planet brown belt Kay Hansen going to do to you on the mat if it gets there? And in terms of the striking, I went back, I wasn't expecting to see much in terms of the striking with Kay Hansen, but she's making massive improvements in her striking. Her striking has looked really good. And on top of that, she's 22 years old. We have not seen her fight in nearly 15 months. So we got to expect more improvements from Kay Hansen. Whereas Jasmine, she's 32 years old. She's getting up there. But yeah, Kay Hansen, I really like what I see from her. Great grappler. Her wrestling's really good. Her takedown defense is phenomenal. Had a very close fight with Erin Blanchfield, who a lot of people are very high on, including me. And in that fight, Blanchfield had, really struggled to take down Kay Hansen. And we've seen how dominant, Blanchfield has been as of late. But yeah, Hansen's very well-rounded. Her striking's coming along. Legit brown belt in BJJ. Jasmine, she's a blue belt. I just think if this hits the mat, Hansen's going to, just have her way with Jasmine on the mat. I really like Hansen in this fight quite a bit. The only thing that concerns me is Hansen is coming up a weight class. I don't love that. And on top of that, she's going to be at a height and reach disadvantage. But, other than that, Jasmine, she's a punching bag. Hansen, I think she's going to have success on the feet. And then, Jasmine, for her to win, she's really good in the clinch. I'll give her that. Her takedowns are really good. She's very strong. So maybe, she can, make this close on the feet, mix in takedowns here or there, get some top control. But I just think if this fight does go to the mat, I think Hansen's going to have a significant advantage. If you're getting reversed and getting out-grappled by white belt, Elise Reed, I don't know what to tell you. So give me a 10th planet brown belt, Kay Hansen, to go out here and get I'm going to say a 3rd round submission. It's kind of weird with Kay Hansen. When she does win inside the distance, it's 3rd round. I think she has like 4 or 5 finishes all in that 3rd round, and it makes sense, and especially in this fight, considering Jasmine, slows down in pretty much every single fight she's in. So I do like Kay Hansen here. Give me Kay Hansen to win by submission, and we'll move on. Tony Gravely going against Simon Oliveira. This should be a fun one. We have Tony Gravely, 30 years old, 5'5" with a 69-inch reach, 21-7, 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Simon Oliveira, 30 years old, 5'6" with a 67-inch reach, 18-3 and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. So we'll take a look at the odds here. We see that Tony Gravely opened up -170. He's now -240. Simon Oliveira, +145, opened up. He's now +205. So money is coming in on Tony Gravely, and I definitely see why. So Tony Gravely, this is a guy that has 28 fights on his record. This is a guy that's fought very good competition. When we're comparing the competition between the two, it's just night and day. Gravely has fought not only really good guys inside the UFC, but really good guys outside of the UFC. And I know people are going to take a look at his record. They're going to see that he has 7 losses. But when you actually go and look at who he's losing to, he's not losing to bums. He's not losing to guys that are very bad. And when you take a look at who he's losing to, his last loss was against Nate Maness in a fight where, it could have been stopped after that first round. He knocked out Nate Maness. The ref did not stop it. And then Nate Maness comes back and gets, one of the best comeback wins I've ever seen in my life and knocks out Gravely after completely getting knocked out in the first round. So that happened. He gets submitted by Brett Johns, who I'm extremely high on. He gets submitted by Patchy Mix, a very, very good grappler. That was back in 2018. He loses to Manny Bermudez by submission. A very good submission grappler, Bermudez. He loses by decision against Rob Davalishvili. And then on top of that, he has been submitted by Pat Sabatini as well back in 2015 in his second ever pro fight. So as you can see, Tony Gravely, when he's losing to some very, very good competition. As far as Simon Oliveira, this is a guy that is 18-3. Most of his wins coming by finish. I think his record is extremely, extremely padded. He has not fought the best competition, and this is a guy that is dangerous though on the feet. He is pretty dangerous. On the mat, he's very dangerous as well, and that kind of scares me in this fight because Tony Gravely, again, he's been submitted, I think, like 5 times, so that's concerning. But we did talk about who is actually submitting Tony Gravely, and it's legit grapplers. And I think Tony Gravely is a good grappler. It's just he does get caught sometimes, and that would be my only concern here. But on the feet, I actually favor, Tony Gravely. He's going to have a 2-inch reach advantage. I really like the power. I think the power is going to be the difference in Tony Gravely. On top of that, Simon Oliveira, he is a lot more hittable than you'd really like to see. And I think Tony Gravely is going to have a good opportunity to hurt Oliveira on the feet. And then I think if Gravely wants to get this fight down to the mat, just first of all, mind your P's and Q's. Take him down. I think, he can get takedowns whenever he wants. This is going to be the best wrestler that Simon Oliveira has ever faced. And I have seen Simon Oliveira taken down multiple times. I've seen him stuck off his back. He's comfortable to play off his back and throw up elbows, and he's very dangerous. But I think Tony Gravely has multiple paths to victory, whether it's knocking out Simon Oliveira on the feet or just taking down Oliveira easily. It's just is Oliveira going to be able to catch him or not? In terms of minute winning, it's really hard to see Oliveira winning a decision here. Whereas, I think Tony Gravely can, get a knockout, whether it's on the feet, get a TKO on the ground and pound, or, win a comfortable decision here. So I like Gravely quite a bit. I'm going to take Gravely to win by, I'm going to say first or second round knockout. I think he knocks out Oliveira here, but, it is Tony Gravely. He has dropped the ball, more often than not, but it's against very good guys. So we'll see what happens here, but I think Gravely gets him out of there within the first 2 rounds by knockout. All right, Matt Frevola going against Gennaro Valdez. We have Frevola, 31 years old, 5'9", with a 71-inch reach, 8-3, and 1, and 2, and 2, and 1 in his last 5 fights. Valdez, he is 29 years old, 5'10", with a 71-inch reach, 10-0, obviously 5-0 in his last 5 fights. So we'll take a look at the odds here, and we see that Frevola opened up plus 110. He's now minus 175. Valdez opened up minus 130. And he is currently plus 150. So yeah, Valdez, this guy is very, very exciting to watch. I mean, if you go back and watch his Contender Series fight, this guy went balls to the wall for the first round, about a round and a half. The fight ended in early second, but this guy went balls to the wall for that whole first round. He gassed out. His opponent started coming on. I thought he was going to lose the fight, and then he goes out there in the second round and just shows his power and knocks out his opponent out of nowhere. I thought he was in big trouble. His opponent looked like the fresher guy, and he went out there and knocked him out in that second round. Valdez, this is a guy that has a ton of power. He's wild. His wrestling's very good. He goes to his wrestling a lot, and he just puts on a crazy pace, and it's going to be a fun fight because, that's what Frevola does. Frevola puts on a very, wrestling-heavy pace as well. Frevola gets into a lot of fun, exciting wars as well. But when we're talking about a fun and exciting war, that really scares me for a guy like Matt Frevola, because Matt Frevola, one thing about him is this guy has shown to be extremely chinny. I mean, he just got knocked out by Terrence McKinney in 7 seconds in his last fight. And not only that, Lana Venata knocked him down twice. Not only that, he got knocked out by Marco Polo Reyes. Reyes dropped him twice in that fight. So I think the chin here and the durability of Frevola is very concerning against the guy in Valdez, this guy Valdez hits very hard. I get why Frevola is the favorite here. He's the more experienced fighter. He's fought the better competition. He has the better cardio. I get all that. I just see Valdez knocking out Frevola. I think it's going to be an absolute war. I think Valdez is going to touch the chin at some point, and I think he's going to get Frevola out of there. So I'm taking another dog with Valdez. I think he puts Frevola's lights out, and that's going to be a 3-fight skid if Frevola does drop this one. So, we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I do like Valdez to win. I do like Valdez to win by finish. I will say if, Frevola does not get finished early on, maybe Frevola can, keep up with the pace, take over as the fight goes on, because we have seen Valdez slow down, especially in that Contender Series fight. But I think Valdez gets him out of here in the first round and a half. So give me Valdez for the win. Give me Valdez by KO. All right. Moving on, we have Michael Morales going against Trevin Giles. We have Michael Morales, 22 years old, 6 foot with a 79-inch reach, 12-0. And 5-0, obviously, in his last 5 fights. Trevin Giles, 29 years old, 6 foot, 74-inch reach, 14-3 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. So, we'll take a look at the odds here, and it looks like Trevin Giles is going to be this week's dog of the week. And, I get it. I definitely get it. Michael Morales opened at minus 155. He's now minus 130. Giles opened at plus 135. He's now plus 110. And like I said, I get the love on Trevin Giles. But for me personally, I promised myself, in 2022, there's a couple things I want to avoid. I wrote an article about it. One of those things was cardio. Another thing was fight IQ. And that is the exact reason why I'm not betting Trevin Giles. And this is Giles cutting down to 170, which I don't like. I want to see him on the scales, but, that's a concern. This is a guy, Giles, who, has gassed out in multiple fights. And this is a guy in Giles who has shown the worst fight IQ. This is a guy that, has probably one of the worst fight IQs in the UFC. And I go back to a couple fights, but you go back to the Meerschaert fight. And, what does Giles have to do to win the fight? Stuff the takedowns. Giles, you have a very good takedown defense. You have very good striking. You're going to have a striking advantage, a power advantage against Meerschaert. You stuff the takedowns, you keep it on the feet, you knock this guy out. And he hurts Meerschaert with the very first strike he lands. And then what does he do? He takes down Gerald Meerschaert in the first round. And then what happens a couple minutes later? He gets swept. He gets reversed. Meerschaert gets on top. Okay, so, bad fight IQ there. In the second round, he goes in, Meerschaert, tries to take him down, and Trevin Giles stuffs the takedown. Meerschaert flops to his back, and then Giles, jumps in his guard. It's like, what are you doing? And then in the third round, Meerschaert goes for a takedown. Giles stuffs it, and then he engages in the grappling, and then Meerschaert's able to get him down and eventually submits him. He was winning. It was a close fight, but I thought he was winning against Zach Cummings. And then in the third round, he gets hurt bad, dropped, and then submitted in that third round. You can't trust this guy. You really can't trust this guy. The cardio is not there. The fight IQ is horrendous. The volume is very bad. This guy has all the tools you want to see, but the volume is horrible. He barely throws anything at times. He got knocked out in his last fight against Dricus du Plessis, and now he's cutting down to 170, which is a pretty significant weight cut. So I'll have to see how he looks on the scales, but, I just cannot trust Trevin Giles. And in terms of Michael Morales, I like this guy. Typically, I'll be looking to fade some of these Contender Series guys, but Michael Morales, he's 22 years old. He's going to have a 5-inch reach advantage. That's huge. And, you take a look at him, and this guy does not look like he's 22 years old. This guy does not look green. Tons of volume compared to Trevin Giles especially. Maybe not the most powerful guy, but he showed some good wrestling in his last fight as well in the Contender Series. And he's well-rounded. His takedown defense looks good. He looks very strong as well. And, I don't know. I get why, there's money coming in on Trevin Giles, but I just can't get there with Giles. I feel like he's going to do something stupid, honestly. But I like Michael Morales here. The volume, I think, is going to be key. The reach, I think, is going to be key. Trevin Giles is cutting down to 170. I don't like that. Trevin Giles, poor gas tank, poor fight IQ. I don't like that. I'm going to take Michael Morales to win a decision here, but I think it's going to be very, very close. I think if Giles does fight smart, which he's never had before, I think if Giles does fight smart, potentially go for takedowns here. If he can get on top, I do think Giles has a pretty significant grappling advantage. Giles is I believe he's either a brown belt or a black belt in BJJ. But yeah, if he can get on top of Morales, maybe get him out of there with a submission or something. But you can't count on Giles to fight smart. So give me Morales to win. Morales to win, outpointing Giles. But it's going to be a very, very, very close fight, you got to imagine. But I'll take Morales here, who's not a dog at the time, but I feel like he potentially could be a dog by fight time. We'll see. All right, next we have Rodolfo Vieira going against Wellington Turman. And we have Rodolfo Vieira, who is 32 years old, 6 foot, with a 73-inch reach, 8-1 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Wellington Turman, 25 years old, 6 foot, with a 72-inch reach, 17-5 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds. Rodolfo Vieira, shockingly, is a big favorite. Opened up minus 350, and then he's now minus 222. So money is coming in on Turman, and rightfully so. Rodolfo Vieira should not be this big of a favorite, and I'll talk about why. Turman opened up plus 285. He's now plus 187. The reason why I feel like Vieira should not be this big of a favorite, for a couple reasons. This guy's gas tank is one of the worst gas tanks in the UFC, and he definitely proved that in the Fluffy Hernandez fight, where he went out there, he took down Fluffy Hernandez easily multiple times, went to submit him, he could not get him out of there, and then ultimately ended up gassing out bad. And I forget who was commentating. I think it was DC, and DC was like, I've never, ever seen a guy this tired in the first round, and he was so tired, and then he gets submitted. Arguably the best grappler in the division gets submitted by Fluffy Hernandez. I couldn't believe it. I was shocked. I still, to this day, am shocked. But I will say he did come back in his last fight against Dustin Stoltzfus, who I don't think is UFC caliber. A lot of people will like Dustin Stoltzfus. I don't really get it. I think he's probably going to get cut. He's on a 3-fight skid. But he went out there against Dustin Stoltzfus, and I think the commentary was extremely biased. I had Stoltzfus clearly up 2 rounds. But I will say he came in there with a different game plan. He came in there, his striking looked much improved, but he was still getting outstruck pretty handily. He got outstruck 34-23 in terms of the significant strikes in round 1. He got outstruck 37-23 in terms of the total strikes in round 1 against Dustin Stoltzfus. So, I thought he looked better, but I thought the commentary was just really, really biased there. I thought he was clearly losing, especially going back and watching it. And then in the second round, Dustin Stoltzfus still outlanding him. Stoltzfus outlanding him 29-25 in round 2. So yes, his striking looked better, but still, I thought he was still losing that fight. Then he goes out there in round 3, and he goes out there, he gets a takedown. He takes the back of Stoltzfus, and he shows off that grappling, submits him in that 3rd round. And it was kind of weird, because Stoltzfus had the worst gas tank in that fight, and I was not expecting that, and nobody was expecting Rodolfo Vieira to go out there and get a 3rd round finish, but he did come in there with a new and improved game plan, which I'm wondering, what's he going to come in with and look like in this fight? Is he going to come out there in this fight and try to take down Turman early and get him out of there? If he does that, I think he loses. Or is he going to come out there, really, take his time, strike with Turman, mix in the takedowns here or there? If he does that, I think he has a legit path to victory, and I think it'll be a close fight. Wellington Turman, a lot of people crap on this guy, and I get it. This guy has not looked great as of late. He had a win over Sam Alvey that people weren't really impressed with. I did bet Sam Alvey, and I thought Sam Alvey won, actually, especially considering Turman had 2 points taken. But Turman still won that fight. Prior to that, he gets knocked out by Bruno Silva, who's an absolute beast, and then Andrew Sanchez, which, no excuse for that. He did lose a split decision to Carl Roberson, though. But, this is a guy that he's very young in the game. His striking's improving. I do actually think he's going to have the striking advantage in this fight, honestly. Vieira's striking's just not good. But I think he's going to have the striking advantage. He's going to have the cardio advantage. He's a legit black belt in BJJ, but when we're talking pure grappling, obviously it's Vieira all day in the grappling. But, Turman can hold his own. He's a black belt. That's what he is. He's a grappler. I just don't get this line. I get why it's coming in a lot. But Vieira, I can't trust him, especially at this line. I'm actually going to take the dog here and Turman to win. I don't know how he's going to win. I feel like this fight can go so many ways. I think it all comes down to the game plan of Rodolfo Vieira. If Vieira comes out here, takes down Turman right away, tries to submit him, and he can't do it, gasses out like he has in the past, maybe Turman can get him out of there late. But if Vieira does come in here, fight smart, I feel like Turman can be very competitive in the striking, maybe even have the striking advantage, like I said. And then, I think it's going to be a close fight. So I'm going to take the dog here and Turman to win. I'm going to take him to win by decision. Don't feel too comfortable about it because I do think Vieira is the much better fighter, but the fight IQ I don't like. The striking I don't like. I think Turman has some passive victories. I'm going to take the big dog here in Turman. But I'm going to stay far away from this fight in terms of betting aside. All right, this fight's going to be very fun, as is every Michel Pereira fight. We have Michel Pereira going against Andre Fialho. We have Pereira, who's 28 years old, 6'1" with a 73-inch reach, 26-11, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Andre Fialho, he is 27 years old, 6 foot, with a 74-inch reach, 14-3 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds, and we see that Pereira is a big favorite. Opened up -250, is now -270. Fialho opened up +210, and he is now +230. So, yeah, I mean, Fialho, this guy's a beast. I like Fialho quite a bit. This guy's jacked. He comes forward. He throws bombs. He's a finisher. But I think this is a pretty horrible matchup for him, honestly. But I'm excited to see Fialho in the UFC. I really like this guy. This guy has so much power in his hands. And could he potentially knock out Pereira? Maybe. But Pereira, the thing with him is he's very durable. Pereira's only been knocked out one time in his entire career, which is a big sample of fights, 37 fights, and Pereira's only been knocked out once. So, could Fialho knock him out early potentially, but I'm more so leaning towards no. And the thing with Fialho is he's very low volume. He has that power, but he's very low volume. He's very slow. Pereira is going to have a massive volume advantage. Pereira is going to have a massive speed advantage. And maybe people disagree with this, but Pereira is going to have a cardio advantage. I never thought I'd see somebody with worse cardio than Michel Pereira, but Fialho slows down a ton as fight goes on, and on top of that, Fialho is taking this fight on somewhat short notice as well. So I think Pereira is going to have the cardio advantage, the speed advantage, the striking advantage, pretty much every advantage in this fight. If he wants to take down Fialho as well, that's just another path to victory. Pereira has solid wrestling, solid BJJ. I just think Pereira is the much better fighter, but Fialho does have that power. And again, I like Fialho a lot. I'm glad he's in the UFC. I think he'll win some fights in the UFC. It's just this is a very bad matchup for him, in my opinion. Give me Michel Pereira to win. I'm going to take him to win by decision. I could potentially see a finish, but Fialho is very tough. I'm going to take Pereira to just win a pretty clear decision. So give me Pereira to win a decision here, but it should be a very, very fun fight. But I'm not completely counting out Fialho because this dude has legit power, but I just think it's a tough matchup for him. Give me Pereira for the win. All right, couple fights left. We have Cody Stamann going against Said Nurmagomedov. We have Nurmagomedov, 29 years old, 5'8" with a 70-inch reach, 14-2 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Cody Stamann, 32 years old, 5'6", with a 64.5-inch reach, 19-4-1 and 2-2-1 in his last 5 fights. So we take a look at the odds. Nurmagomedov opened up -245. He's now -187. Stamann opened up +210. He's now +162. So, yeah, this is a tough fight to call for me. So, in terms of the striking, it's going to be Nurmagomedov here pretty clearly. I really was impressed with Nurmagomedov in terms of the striking. Great volume, great striking defense, great spinning attack. I just really liked what I see from Nurmagomedov in terms of the striking. So he's going to have the striking advantage in this fight. On top of that, he's going to have a 5.5-inch reach advantage and also a 2-inch height advantage. So I pretty much think that Stamann is in trouble on the feet. Not in terms of getting finished in trouble, but in terms of getting outpointed pretty significantly in trouble. The way Stamann wins this fight is if he gets it down to the mat. And, it's very possible he can. The thing I don't like about Stamann is the fact that, he can go for takedowns. He's just not good at controlling his opponent. And that's what scares me here. And that's why I ultimately cannot pick Stamann in this fight. We take a look at the control differential percentage. So Stamann is out-controlling his opponents by only 11%. And if you're a grappler and wrestler in Stamann, you want to see that be much, much higher. But yeah, he only out-controls his opponents for about 11% of the time, which, especially in a fight like this, I would really like to see that higher. Nurmagomedov, he has a 71% takedown defense. He has been taken down a couple times in the UFC. Barcelos took him down twice. But his takedown defense is really good. His get-up game is very good. Very good scrambling as well. If Stamann does take him down, I just don't know if he's going to have success in terms of holding him down and I feel like this fight, for the most part, is going to play out on the feet, and at that point, I got to pick Nurmagomedov here. So, Stamann, he is an intriguing dog. He has fought the much better competition. He is going to fight for your money. He is going to go for takedown. I just don't know if he's going to have success in terms of holding down Nurmagomedov, and if he doesn't, it's going to be a pretty clear Nurmagomedov decision, outstriking Stamann for all 3 rounds. So give me Nurmagomedov. I do think the fight's going to be closer than the line does indicate, but I will take Nurmagomedov to win here and win by decision. All right, here we go, the co-main event. Looking forward to this one. And I'll be honest, I'm really struggling with this fight. It's a tough fight to call, especially considering we need, at least I need to see the weigh-ins for this fight. The weigh-ins are going to pretty much dictate like who I pick here. And I know that's crazy to say, but the weigh-ins are going to dictate who I pick. So tune into the Friday live stream after the weigh-ins. I'll also be posting my picks on Twitter, DFS_numbers, Instagram, DFS by the numbers. It's simple as this. If Figgy, moving to fight ready, if he looks great on the scales, if he's not, struggling, if he's not, looking like he's about to pass out, if he's not looking like crap, like absolute crap like he did last time, and he looks like crap a lot, but last time was the worst we've ever seen Figgy look on the scales, and it showed in his performance, because that was not a typical Deiveson Figueiredo performance. So the weigh-ins are going to tell so much in this fight for me. And I've typically I don't like switching picks at all. I think I've switched a pick in like the 4 years I've been doing this. I think I've switched a pick like 2 times. This might be a case where I do switch my pick. I literally don't know who I'm gonna pick yet. So we'll talk through it. But Brandon Moreno, he's 28 years old. He's 5'7" with a 70-inch reach, 19-5-2, 4-0-1 in his last 5 fights. Deiveson Figueiredo, he is 34 years old, 5'5", with a 68-inch reach, 22-1, and 3-1-1 in his last 5 fights. So Moreno younger by 6 years. He's going to have a height advantage and a reach advantage of both 2 inches. You take a look at the first fight, and it was a very close fight. We'll kind of dig into it a little bit more, but in that fight, Deiveson Figueiredo was a very big favorite, and I want to get the exact odds of what he was. So Deiveson Figueiredo, in the Brandon Moreno fight, the number 1 fight, it looks like he was like minus 320 at closing, which is nuts, right? Especially considering how the fight played out. But yeah, Deiveson Figueiredo was a huge favorite, right? And then in the second fight, even we take a look at the second fight. Deiveson Figueiredo closed around minus 200. So that's interesting, because in this fight it completely flipped. We see that Brandon Moreno opened up minus 170. He's now minus 170. We see that Figueiredo opened up plus 145, and he's one plus 145 right now. So, isn't that crazy? Figueiredo was a minus 300 favorite in the first fight, a minus 200 favorite in the second fight, and now he's a plus 145, plus 155 dog. So going back to the first fight, first of all, it was a very close fight. I did personally score it for Figgy, even with the point deduction. Without the point deduction, Figgy would have won that pretty clearly. But, I was really impressed with, both guys in that fight, really. I mean, I guess what impressed me most was the gas tank of Figueiredo. I was not expecting him to go out there and win that 5th round. So he wins the 5th round pretty cleanly. But, a lot of these rounds were very, very close and competitive. But I think the bigger moments came from Deiveson Figueiredo. The bigger shots came from Deiveson Figueiredo in that fight. But yeah, in terms of the volume, it was very close. They both took each other down a couple times. Moreno took down Figgy 4 times. Figueiredo took him down 2 times, and it was a very close fight. But I did score it for Figgy personally. But yeah, it was a draw. And then the next fight comes, and I don't know. I mean, it's nuts. Figueiredo looked like awful on the scales, the worst I've ever seen in my life. And then Figgy goes in there with a game plan I've never seen out of him. He goes in there and he didn't show up. I mean, he did not show up in that fight whatsoever. This is a guy in Figgy who attempted 13 significant strikes in that first round. He didn't throw anything. He attempted 13. I'm curious, what did he attempt in the first round of their first fight? Figgy attempted 55 in the first fight. So what changed? Was it the weight cut? Potentially, because he looked horrible. He looked awful. So that's crazy. He went from throwing 55 strikes in the first round of the first fight to only 13 in the second fight. And we take a look at what he threw in the second round, only attempted 15. 15. And then let's see what he attempted in the first fight in the second round. In the first fight, he attempted 57. So what happened? What changed? Because this fight, let's see, the first fight, it was December 12th, 2022, or 2020. And then the second fight was June of 2021. So, not too far apart. Like, what changed in, half a year? Could it be the weight cut? And I'm kind of leaning towards it was, because I've never seen Figgy perform like that. And I'll put it this way, on Figgy's best day, if we get the best version of Figgy, this is a close fight. If we get the best version of Figgy, this is a very close fight that I do edge Figgy. But if we get the Figgy version we saw in his last fight, yeah, Moreno should make easy work of him. But, there is the narrative going around. We're going to hear it all week. Figgy moved to fight ready. There's pictures of Figgy on Twitter as well. This guy looks in the best shape of his life, but I need to see him on the scales. But yeah, if Figgy shows up and we get the best version of Figgy, plus 155, that's going to look like a steal. It's just, I'm recording this on Tuesday, and I literally need to see him on the scale. So in terms of giving a pick, and this could change, and I don't like switching picks, but the weigh-ins is ultimately going to decide my pick here. I know that's maybe some people think it's dumb to say, but that's just how I feel. I'm going to pick Figgy as of now as a dog. I'm going to take him to win by decision. I think it's going to be a back-and-forth war like the first fight was with Figgy landing the bigger shots, the more powerful shots, hurting Moreno here or there. But I need to see the weigh-ins first. So I'm going to take Figgy as of now. But if he looks like crap, I'll post my picks on Twitter. If he looks like crap, I'm going Moreno. Okay, so we'll see what happens. But give me Deiveson Figueiredo, barring any shenanigans at the weigh-in. So we'll see what happens. But give me Figgy to get his belt back. All right. Main event, if you guys are still watching with me, I do want to say thank you for that. Leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Me and Uncle Weezy did a main event deep dive on Monday. If you have not checked that out yet, go check that out as well. But yeah, we'll take a look at this main event here. Very fun fight. Ciryl Gane, Francis Ngannou. Cannot wait for this one. I mean, this is one of my most anticipated fights in a while. We have Gane, who is 31 years old, 6'4", with an 80-inch reach, 10-0. Obviously 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Francis Ngannou, he is 35 years old, 6'4", 83-inch reach, 16-3, and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. This is a tough fight to call. I mean, this is a very tough fight to call for me. We take a look at the odds, and money is pouring in on Gane. He opened up plus 165, which is nuts. That's crazy. And he's now minus 144. Francis Ngannou opened up minus 190, and it's plus 124. The reason why this fight is so hard to call for me, because I like Ciryl Gane a lot. I mean, this is a guy that there's no heavyweight like Ciryl Gane. This is a guy that he's 6'4", he's huge, 80-inch reach. Not only that, he has phenomenal cardio, he has phenomenal output, he has phenomenal footwork. Nobody moves like Ciryl Gane. He's very defensively sound. This is a guy that has phenomenal fight IQ. Like, this is, if you were to make the perfect fighter in the heavyweight division, it would be Ciryl Gane. So I get why money's coming in on him. I get why he's the favorite. But my goodness, Francis Ngannou is the hardest hitter in the heavyweight division. This guy is terrifying, and it literally only takes one. Uncle Weezy pointed it out on the main event deep dive that Francis Ngannou is landing a knockdown on 4% of the significant strikes that he's landing. So that means like every 20-something strikes that Francis is landing, he's landing a knockdown. Like, this guy's power is legit. And Gane is going to have to mind his P's and Q's for 25 minutes of this fight, because it only is going to take one small mistake, one big shot from Francis Ngannou, and that's what terrifies me about this fight. But in terms of a pick, I got to go Gane. I mean, the output's there, the cardio's there, the footwork's there, the fight IQ's there. He's defensively sound, like I mentioned. Like in the Rosenstruck fight, he did a very good job at avoiding the danger, and some people might not like that style, and some people crapped on Ciryl Gane for that performance, but he fought very smart, and I kind of see the fight going the same way, because he has somebody in Francis Ngannou who is better than Rosenstruck by a decent margin, in my opinion, but, kind of the same thing. Like, Rosenstruck has a ton of power, and Ngannou has a ton of power. We're in the big cage, which the big cage is going to favor Ciryl Gane. So, yeah, I like Ciryl Gane. I like him to win. I want to say I'm somewhat confident in him, but how confident can you be when you have Francis Ngannou across from you? So that's terrifying. It takes one shot, and Ngannou's power is phenomenal. But I just think Ciryl Gane has more ways to win. Whereas Ngannou, if he's going to win, I think it's in the first round and a half, 2 rounds. Francis Ngannou has never won a fight that left the second round, I don't believe. So I'm going to pick Ciryl Gane here. It's a different fight, but it kind of reminds me of the Daukaus-Lewis fight, where I thought Daukaus was the much better fighter. I thought Daukaus was, had much more paths to victory, but it only takes one from Lewis, and Lewis destroyed him. And it could be the case here. Maybe Ngannou lands that one big shot. It would not shock me at all. And I do think Ngannou's getting a little disrespected in terms of the line. I think this line should be closer. I get that Gane should be favorited, but Ngannou has that X factor, and that's that power. But I'm going to take Gane to win. I'm going to take Gane to win by decision. Maybe a late finish, but Ngannou, 19 fights, never been knocked out. Ngannou's durability is phenomenal. I think Gane's going to make it kind of look like the Rosenstruck fight. Just pick apart Ngannou, stay safe, fight smart, stay at range, use your footwork, avoid the danger, run away at times if you need to, and ultimately just win a boring, I think it's going to be a boring decision, honestly. Kind of like the Rosenstruck fight. So we'll see what happens. And Ngannou, he's live for sure. He's live against anybody in the world, but I'm going to take Ciryl Gane to win. I'm going to take him to win by decision. All right, so that is about it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment down your significant strikes. If you do want to sign up on the website, feel free to do so. $10 a month. And the cool thing about the website in terms of Patreon is for Patreon, you get charged at the first every month, but for the website, you can literally sign up whenever you want, and you get your full month. So you get your bang for your buck there. DFS, $10, betting $10, DFS and betting $10. Do want to say thank you for everybody that has signed up so far. Thank you for everybody that has gotten the merch. If you do want to buy some merch, there's I think like 70 shirts left, something like that. But yeah, I sent out all those today. So that's about it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Let's make some money. Had a winning night last week, which, dating back to last year, that 3 weeks in a row for winning night in terms of betting. Had good picks last week, so hopefully, started 2022 good. Let's keep it rolling. Let's keep winning. I have 3 bets so far, looking at 2 big bets coming up, so it should be a good card. So that's about it, guys. Good luck, and let's make some money at UFC 270. See you.